Hey, everybody. Kelsey Komorowski here, founder of Como. Welcome to our interview spotlight on Eric. Eric is one of our absolute rockstar students. He recently graduated from our program, and he has very graciously come on to share his story with all of you. As always, and especially with Eric's case, what he's going to share about his last couple of years in school. Get your teens, parents, that's you, get your teens, get your friends, come listen. I know what he shares is going to resonate in big ways with a lot of you. So without further ado, Eric, first off, thank you for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate being asked.
Thank you. Well, I'll take that as an extra honor then. So Eric, I'm actually going to pass this right back over to you. If you can tell us a bit about your situation with school, your background with school, like the last few years, what was school like for you? How would you characterize it, even like pre-COVID and then going into COVID?
Before COVID, since it was grade one, I think, I've been homeschooled. And then I thought it would be a good idea for A, like the social connection, and B, just to have a good idea of what school is like before I maybe go into college. I thought it would be a good idea to go to high school. So for grade nine, that was like a complete life changer, like to start going to school and actually working on like certain school curriculum and having different teachers. That was crazy. It was very overwhelming. So I started to fall behind really easily, and grade nine was also the year that COVID hit like bad. So we were online, we were in person. It was never anything certain. Um, and so I was falling behind like really easily. And because they weren't taking away late marks that year because of the virus, um, I thought, hey, maybe I can just relax a bit more and just put these assignments to the side and just ignore them for a while. But then at the end of the semesters, both times, I was like swamped in overdue assignments. And I'm like, I have to get these done. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was day and night, I was just constantly doing them. And being online didn't help because, well, I have a very cool setup. Um, and I would maybe get distracted on games or YouTube. And because it was right there, it was so easily just right in front of me, just so easy to get on. Um, and that was a huge problem, all these overdue assignments. And I was so extremely stressed. I cannot even express how it was. So grade nine was definitely a challenge.
Wow, Eric, I think there's so much to unpack there. So first of all, just to be clear, your first year in real school, quote unquote,
Hmm.
like not homeschooling, was also COVID.
Yeah,
So
that
like
was crazy.
that's those circumstances are just I like wildly challenging to say the very least.
Hmm.
Let's talk a bit about the fallen behind, because I think that's something that a lot of students, I think it happens to the best of us really,
Oh
but a
yeah.
lot of students can relate to. For you, like Eric, what was happening when obviously like you're a smart kid, you know you have to do your work. What was happening when you started falling behind? Like, do you think it was like, I want a game and it's just like procrastination, losing track of time, or was there something else going on? Could you speak a little to how do you feel like you actually started falling behind in the first place?
Well, I had no motivation. I was just done. I was like, what is going on? If this is going to be school for the rest of my life, I cannot do this. Um, so I basically just gave up, and I had so many assignments. I didn't know what to do. I was, I was aiming for like 90%, 95% in grades, but that was not happening. I was like even below 70s. It was bad. Uh, so I just had no motivation to go on.
Wow. And what, Eric, what did you try to Like, was it kind of all of a sudden where it's like, this isn't worth it? I'm too far behind. Like, I can't get out from under this work.
Hmm.
Or was it a bit more gradual? Did you try things like I'm sure your parents, what did you try or what did they try to help you kind of get out of that before it got too bad?
My mom had lots of ideas. Like she said, start a calendar, or she said, write everything that you need to do down on a piece of paper. Just things like that that I started doing. Thought it was just too much added work and gave up. Uh,
Mhm.
so whenever my mom suggested something that was probably a great idea, I just didn't want to think about it because it would I just thought it would be too much work.
That's so is it fair to say then that essentially you are in such a place of so overwhelmed that even like suggestions of ways to help or things that you could do, it was just like it contributed to the overwhelm. It wasn't helping to
Yeah,
reduce the overwhelm. Is that right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So towards the end of that first term in grade nine, then you mentioned initially when you were kind of giving that overview that it was like, I think you said like you couldn't put into words how stressed you were. What happened? Like, were you kind of just like working around the clock, pulling all-nighters to get stuff in? Did you fail classes? Like what was the outcome of that particular term?
Thankfully, I didn't fail any classes, but I was definitely on my computer like a lot, and I was sitting down in my chair a lot. I just, I was stiff, I was sore, I was up all night sometimes, either just being distracted, pretending I was doing schoolwork, or just sitting there looking at an assignment completely blank-minded. Usually there was no work happening. It was bad.
That sounds really bad. I'm feeling that right now in my chest as you're describing that. Like I can see that from what you've just shared. But pretending to do work, what was that about? Were you actually trying, or in your head you had mentioned you gave up? Was it already like, I know I'm not actually going to, but I'll put on a good show of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, Eric, that sounds, I mean, horrible in so many ways, like not just like that overwhelm from the academics, but even what you described, like physically, like missing sleep and being in the chair and being stiff. So you did pass all of your classes. It sounds, honestly, I would use the word a bit nightmarish, what you described, like that, just the stress like up to here is just like palpable from what you just shared. So that was the end of the first term for grade nine.
Hmm.
What were you thinking when you headed into the next term? Like,
Well, like almost at the end of grade nine, I was failing classes, but then like my mom found Como, and it was like her last idea. Um, and she asked me if I wanted to, and again, I was like, no, just too much added work. I don't want to do it. And eventually, she did sign me up for Como, basically against my will, but the
which we'll talk
last
more
like
about.
we'll talk
Yeah.
more about that, but the last month of term two or semester two, whatever you would like to call it, I was getting more on track. I had all my assignments like basically overdue, but all of those were in, and like the last week of term two, I had completely free. It was very nice just to feel relaxed for a week, and then like the calendar and the check and plan, I learned those from Como, and I used them like almost every day. And then when the next year, grade 10 started, I had all of those skills, all of those like, yeah, life skills to use. And I'm like, this year's going to be different. I'm going to use them and I'm going to see what happens. And now I think it's 2 months into grade 10.
Yeah.
And I've been using these skills every day. I have over 92% in all of my classes so far, and
What?
some of them are even over 93, and it feels really really good.
Eric? Sorry, I'm just finding this out. I didn't realize that you had over 92% in all of your classes.
Maybe not in English, but yeah, every other class I have over
Oh, and I mean, you know
92%.
what? Sorry, it doesn't even matter. I'm getting all emotional. That's amazing. Like double high fives. That's so
Thank you.
fantastic. Oh my gosh. Okay. So basically, so far this year is the opposite of last year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to zoom out here. And you guys, for those listening, I think it's so important. Like Eric, I love your trajectory so much. And also just thank you for being so candid in your share. Essentially, the the challenges that Eric was describing, that overwhelm, the late assignments, like you said, oh, Eric,
Sorry,
sorry,
my
did you just
phone's
want
about
to
to
show us
die.
your dog real quick?
My phone's at 20%. It'll live, right?
It'll live. Yeah, we're getting there. We're about halfway. We'll be good.
Okay.
I'll hasten us. Okay, I want to talk about this kind of pivotal shift in your learning journey because, as you outlined, there was a lot of kind of downhill. Your mom had a lot of ideas, but nothing was really happening to change things, and you started failing classes. When your mom found us, how did she present this to you? Because I know, and you guys, full disclosure, Eric did not want to do this. The first conversation I had with Eric was a really good conversation, actually, Eric. Like we had a really good conversation with his mom and dad, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe I'll give it a go." And then like a few days later, he's like, "Hard no, count me out. Don't want to do it." Spoiler alert, we got him back.
Yeah.
But Eric, tell us about that. What did your mom tell you about it first? Like, what did you understand this was all about?
Um, sorry, I'm just gonna turn down my brightness. That might help.
Yeah, that's okay. And Eric, if you want, we can. Do you want to go grab your charger? It's
No,
no big
it
deal.
should. Uh,
If it's gonna stress you out, or if it's gonna stress me
no,
out.
it's won't. It'll be fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
Um, the question was, how did you present it?
Yeah.
Um, like basically the same as every other idea. She was like, "Hey, I have this idea. Like, I I went online and I did some research because she always does research. And I found this program called Como, and I think it would be really, really beneficial to you." And just basically all the things that she'd always say, and I had the same outlook on it that I would every other idea. I'm like, no, too much work. I don't feel motivated to put in the effort. Um, and she's like, no, this one's different. You're going to do this. I don't care what you say. You're going to do this. And she's like, I already booked the interview call, and you're coming on, whether you like it or not, and you're going to thank me later. So then I think it was like 2 weeks later, we went on the interview call, or I'm not sure what it was actually called, but basically an interview call. Um, and that's how I started Como. I didn't want to do it. I still didn't want to do it then, but my
But what
mom had other
changed?
ideas.
Yeah, well, and listen, I actually love this part of your story, Eric, because it is. So you guys, in the initial, that's our learning and achievement audit that he's talking about, that we invite all of our families who are serious about wanting to change their situation for the better to book. But Eric came onto that first one, and I couldn't tell that you didn't want to do it, to your credit, because you're like the most polite, respectful young man ever.
Thank you.
However, it did come out after the call that, it was a no-go. We had another conversation, and Eric, you were in. You were very candid about why you didn't want to do it, and then you were in. What changed? Like, what made you change your mind? Because it is extra work. You had to come to calls. You had to do things. You had to learn things. Like, what made you
Right.
decide that you were going to do that?
I think I was just done with not being motivated, and I was just done with being an absolute wreck for the rest of my life. Like I didn't want that to happen. So I just thought it's now or never. I'm going to change my life now, or it's going to be the same every day for the rest of my life. And I just basically faked it until I make it, and that did change my life. Como really changed my life.
What is your favorite change, or what change do you think has been the most helpful?
Really motivation, because like I don't have all of these assignments like swamped around me, and I'm not focused on how behind I am, because I'm not behind. So I have motivation to continuously just do everything in my life. I'm a much happier person.
Eric, I'm so happy to hear that for you. That is so well earned and you worked hard. And on the one hand, you worked hard. On the other hand, you showed up, you did the work, and you used what you learned. Like, would you say, because I'm sure for some of the people listening, they're like, oh, well, it's probably really complicated or this or that. Like, would you say the check-in plan is complicated? Like, would you say that setting up the calendar was complicated, or would you say it was relatively simple, all things considered?
It was really, really simple for me, but I do know a lot about technology and computers. But I'd say for other people, it's extremely easy to learn. Like, it's just click a button, write something down, and it's done. Like, all you have to do is just check your calendar every once in a while and you know what to do. It's simple.
There you go. From the horse's mouth, you guys. It's simple. And this is coming from somebody, and Eric, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but you did not have a calendar before, just as an example. We have a lot of other cool
Absolutely
tools,
not.
but no calendar, simple setup, and made your life way better and way
Hmm.
easier. That's a huge testament to it. Amazing. Okay. So Eric, was there anything else as far as like if you're reflecting back on that learning journey? And to be fair, you've just started it. You've got a lot of years of school left where you're going to be practicing and deepening these skill sets. Um, was there anything else for you that kind of, bridge that transition, like you said, the fake it till you make it? Was there anything for you that like you can remember being like, oh, I'm not faking it, I'm actually doing it?
Probably the first or the second week actually doing my check-in plan, I was like, I'm enjoying this. Like, this is changing my life. I am more motivated to do this than anything else I ever have been the past year. And I'm like, this is great. I really like this. That was
That's
a good
powerful.
feeling.
It is a good feeling. And you know what, Eric? It's such a great, I think like that epitomizes the fact that like people are drawn to things that make them feel good.
Hmm.
When you're it's stuck in like overwhelm and have a ton of assignments, it doesn't feel good. You literally want to run the other way and like play games.
Oh yeah.
When you're doing something that is putting you in control and like avoiding all that bad stuff, like naturally, I feel like it's a lot easier. Of course, you're going to gravitate towards it a bit better. So that does that resonate? Would you say
Oh
that is
yeah.
true for you? Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, Eric, wow. And I know I'm cognizant of your phone slowly but surely dying in the background. So I want to ask you just a couple of questions. Final questions. Eric, what would you say, like what advice would you give to any students right now, like teens your age, who are really struggling, who either are overwhelmed, they're not motivated, they don't want to do their work, maybe they're super behind, whatever it is, they're stressing, they're struggling. What advice would you give them?
Join Como. But actually do your check-in plan every day thoroughly, and don't miss a day unless it's like a Sunday, but don't miss a day because it's going to help you so much. It like before I was relying on my actual school just to email me when assignments were almost due or when the next assignment came out, because it was all online, right? But then once I started making a calendar and updating it every day and putting my assignments in there, it just helped so much. Like, I wasn't behind. I wasn't stressing on like, okay, what do I need to do next? It was all right there.
So that is awesome. And Eric, so if I'm going to zoom out and kind of sum up, it's number one, understand that you have to take action. I
Yes.
think that a lot of teens think that where it's like it's the school or it's the teachers, and we're all I'm always like no nonsense. I'm like, no, it's you. You're the
Yeah,
only
it's all
person who can
you.
do this.
Mhm.
You said it a lot nicer just now, but that seems like it's the idea where it's like first understand that you need to take action, and like second, actually do it. And it doesn't have to be a huge deal. It can be small, but like taking small, consistent action most days. And Eric, you actually, I remember one of my favorite celebrations that we had on call was that you had a no homework weekend or
I
like
did,
two.
yeah.
And we were so excited for you because that's like you do it Monday to Friday, you get all your work done. Maybe you have
Yeah, I
Saturday,
thought it
Sunday
was
off.
such like a rare thing. Like, that never happens, but I haven't had homework at all this year, the past weekends, and it's honestly great.
Yeah. And you're getting 92 still. Ah, Eric, oh my goodness. Okay, that's amazing. So Okay. I did not tell him to say join Como when he said that. Promise, right, Eric? People are gonna
Nope,
think
that
that
was
I'm
all
like
me.
telling you to say stuff. That's amazing advice. Just as far as taking action and really getting on board. And if you do want to join us, I'll pop in the link where you can schedule your interview also. And then Eric, last but not least, obviously we work with families, right? Like we worked with your mom and dad. Like it was a family call initially. A lot of kids don't talk to their parents. Is there any advice just
Hmm.
from the teen perspective, again, considering their teens are struggling, often not talking to their parents? Anything that you would say to moms and dads out there who are like, oh my God, why won't my kid let me help them?
Honestly, like help them, but don't pester them. Don't nag them, because that is what teens absolutely hate the most. I mean, reminders are good, but just don't stand behind them, looking over their shoulder their whole their whole life. It's not fun for you. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for any teen, really.
That truer words have not been spoken. And that brings me to the final thought I promised for right now. But Eric, that's something, do you think that having us as like that third party helped your mom and dad be able to like not feel like they had to do that at all?
Yeah, like they haven't even this year, like without Como that much, or I haven't. They haven't really needed to help me at all that much, and it's been a huge weight off their shoulders. Like
Yeah.
they've been able to do what they want to do without worrying about me.
That's a win-win situation if I ever heard of
Hmm.
it, eh? That's awesome. Eric, I'm from the bottom of my heart. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. You are just such a rock star. We'll wrap up here for now, but thank you again for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
100%, and everybody else, parents, teens, if you're watching this, the interview Eric mentioned, this is we invite families again who are serious for real change to book one with myself or my team. We take about 45 minutes. We do a deep dive into your child's situation with school with learning. And if we think we can change their lives, then we'll invite you in. And if we can't, then at least we point you in the right direction. And if maybe you're a teen, or maybe if you are a teen watching and like Eric, you're like, no, thank you. Then you know what? Keep an open mind. I encourage you, a conversation can't hurt. And if anything, it can change your life. I think Eric is a really awesome, beautiful testament to that. That's it
Hmm.
for us today. We'll catch you on the next interview. Bye, guys.